Hi Neil, it's great to meet you again. We've spoken a few times over the past. So this time we're talking about your new film, The Lair, your latest film that you and lead actress Charlotte Kirk have written together. It's been some while since we had a monster movie from you. Was this a genre that Charlotte was keen to do as well?
I think well, she fancied doing more of an action movie after The Reckoning, and I wanted to do a monster movie because I hadn't done one for a while, and I love a good monster movie. So it was kind of just combination of those elements, really. And it was brought about by what could we do with COVID restrictions? Like, so the idea of shooting in a hot country, like a desert country with a minimal cast and minimal locations was like we're trying to work within COVID restrictions when designing the movie. And of course, it started out being the initial concept started out being way kind of smaller. And as soon as I get involved in the script, it just blows up into Russians and Afghanistan and alien invasions and stuff like that. And it's like I can't help myself.
Well, let's talk about those monsters. Great monsters, but let's talk about the design and how they evolved and created and whatnot.
It was, it was a process of like things that I wanted to get from these creatures was I wanted them to be practical, so I wanted to be, I did want it to be a guy in a suit. I wanted to have this kind of idea of almost body armor on them, so there's like a Kevlar in their skin, so that they can take bullet hits and still get up for more. I wanted them to be essentially just a big face full of teeth. Um, and jaws that would open and have double sets of teeth like sharks do, things like that. And then I wanted to incorporate this thing. Now I can never remember what the name is. I think it's called trichtophobia, and it's a phobia of textures with holes in them. And some people get nauseous when they look at certain textures that have lots of holes in them. And if you look online, trichtophobia pictures, what comes up if you want to throw up and you see the pictures, then you've got it.
Yeah, do you know what? I have seen those pictures, and I didn't realize I had a phobia until I saw those pictures.
There you go. See, that's the test. So I wanted to incorporate that into the design somewhere. So their whole face is like with these holes and stuff all over their face, rather than eyes or anything.
Yeah. So as you say, they're not wanting to denigrate it, but they're men in costumes effectively. So with all the action going on, and I think you shot this in Hungary as well, in kind of rough
Yeah,
terrain. Um, they must have been quite prone to frequent damage or tears or rips as they're, you
they
know,
do. Yeah, I
going
mean,
at them.
as it always happens, it's the same with the werewolves and stuff like that. They show up on set looking immaculate, and by the time you finish the shoot, they are literally like hanging. They're ripped and torn and repaired and glued together, and then they're a mess. But hopefully by the end of it, it's like they're covered in dust and slime and blood and stuff like that, and you can kind of disguise it a bit. But they certainly, and we only had two suits. Uh,
Right.
so, it was careful editing and a few visual effects shots and things like that to make it look like there's more. But we only ever had two suits, which was like a hero suit and a backup suit. And then toward the end of the shoot, when we were doing the sequence in the elevator, we managed to use both suits at the same time. So we could get two of them in shot at the same time
Yeah.
and use some clever whip pans and things like that to make it look like there's a lot more of them. But, that's just kind of classic old school techniques.
Well, talking of old school techniques, it's got a load of, really great, gory, old school practical effects in it. People getting punched through their head and all this sort of thing, faces ripped off. Kids love it.
Yes,
But
it's for the kids.
the effects and the makeup team who created all of this, were they given free rein to come up with stuff, or was it all in the script?
It was all in the script. I said that this is what I want to happen. I want the guy to get his face ripped off. I want the guy to, punch through his head and all this kind of stuff. So they were going from there. But I mean, I did allow them to go as I just said, go as crazy as you like with it. Like go as bloody as you want. More blood, the better. Don't hold back. Um, because quite often that you ask for blood and these makeup people will come to set with a tiny little bottle of makeup blood, and they start putting little dribs and drabs on it, and inevitably I have to step in and say, look, where's the bucket of it, and start splashing it around with the bucket. It happens every single shoot.
It sounds like a continuity nightmare if you're chucking buckets of blood around as well.
More blood, the better, is what I say.
So, one thing I was going to ask you about was, and it's been a long time since you yourself have done this, is I've counted at least two cameos of yourself in this. One is kind of heavily disguised, and one right at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this going to be a new thing, a regular thing for you? Because it's been about 10 years since you have done it.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a regular thing for sure. I sometimes just do it out of necessity or for fun. Like I'm not in the I think maybe like my hand appears or something in something, but I don't think I'm not in the new one. Uh yeah, Lair obviously, like I wanted to dress up as a soldier. It was kind of like we got two soldiers at the end. You don't see their faces; they're completely dressed in black. Well, are we gonna like hire some people? It was like me and the DP said, well, we'll do it. Yeah, what the hell? We'll get in there. And then yeah, I'm on a photograph in there as well. I wasn't in the Reckoning. I didn't want to dress up as a peasant. No, actually, prior to that, I think the last one that I did was on Game of Thrones. Um, so following on from my cameo at the end of Centurion, where I'm standing on a wall shooting somebody with a bow and arrow, I repeated the same thing in Game of Thrones where I was standing on the wall shooting a bow and arrow. So I thought I can't act, but I can shoot a bow because I do archery. So like I can do that, but I'm not going to deliver lines.
Fair enough. So, it's a military theme, much like your very first film with Dog Soldiers. Did you like that? Were all the team, the actors, put through some sort of military boot camp?
A very limited boot camp. You know, we don't have the resources to do much else, but like because all of the cast are British,
Yeah,
so most British actors haven't had any experience with firearms.
yeah,
Unlike working in the States, where like just about every actor's encountered firearms at some point or another. So in the UK, the British actors, a lot of them have never even seen one before. Um, so we had to put them through some training with the local the weapons master on the film, and get them used to just handling firearms and things. And Charlotte as well had never handled
yeah.
a firearm, so like she was having to fire Kalashnikovs and stuff like that in the film. So we did that, and then there was just like some basic stuff military wise. There wasn't a huge amount to learn. Um, so it was really the firearms more than anything.
So, you're saying about Charlotte, and going back to cameos, is that actually Charlotte's mum in this?
It is, yes.
It is. Oh, right. Okay. So how was she on her first day of first film? I would suggest.
She was pissed at me because she had a line of dialogue and she spent ages learning this line of dialogue and then I cut it out of the film.
Right. Okay. Well,
Yeah, but she appears in The Reckoning. She plays a peasant in The Reckoning, shouting about burner or witch or something like that, or vitch, um, in The Reckoning. And then she's in the new film. Is she in Duchess? She's probably in Duchess somewhere. I'm trying to think where. But yeah, so no, Charlotte usually you get her mum in there somewhere.
oh, right. So they're coming as a package now, Charlotte and her mum.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
So finally, then, and I have asked you about this before, and I think you know what I'm going to ask you about is going right back to your fan favorite or the fan's favorite film of yours. What is the latest on A Dog Soldiers 2?
The latest is we're still plugging away to try and make it happen. It's bogged down with lawyers at the moment. That's the problem.
What in
Lawyers
terms of what ownership of the
in
property?
terms of rights and doing a production deal with the rights holders, which so far has taken around about nearly 6 years.
So once more, lawyers are pumping up their fees then.
Well, the lawyers are doing very well out of it, I'm sure. And quite what's taken so long, I have no idea. I just have to wait and see. I keep on being told it's like it's going good, it's going to happen, blah blah blah. But until it actually does, then
Is
what can you do?
is there a script in place then? Once this is all sorted, there is a script in place, is there?
No, there's a story in place, not a script yet.
Right.
I'm not going to write the script until I know it's going to happen. I'm not going to waste
Waste
my
your
time
time.
doing
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
that's fair enough.
That
Okay.
would be too heartbreaking to invest all that time and emotion into something and then it doesn't happen. So I want to know that it's going to happen before I write
Yeah,
the story.
sure.
But I have a story. So anyway,
You
so we'll
can't.
see. We'll
Okay,
see.
that's
I want,
great.
I'm looking forward to the day when I can announce that I've started writing it. That would be good. But yeah, not yet.
Still a way off then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, hopefully not too far off. I mean, but we'll see. We'll see. You just never can tell. Because I thought it was going to be, I thought I was going to be able to announce it last year for the anniversary, but even then, that's over a year ago now.
Yeah.
So yeah, these things they're slow. They take time.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for your time, Neil. As ever, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.